Well, hello, my fellow psychopaths. KB Knight here, back with another extraordinary story to share with you. Do you ever feel you are alone? Not in a room, but I mean, as a species. I spoke to a guy recently who believed in his heart that not only there is life outside our own, but they sometimes visit us and take us. This is his story. Hello, I'm Michael, and I have quite the story for you and your listeners. I was living in Columbus, Ohio when this occurred, fall of '87. I was 12, living on a 200-acre farm with more than 3,000 acres of forest nearly surrounding us. It was our kind of paradise, even though there was always a strong sense of foreboding whenever your eyes gazed upon that forest. Our nearest neighbors were roughly 2 miles in either direction. Stores, even further. Most people could not bear to be in such a location. I had a crush on my neighbor, a rebel girl named Tara Grady. She had long, fiery red hair and quite the personality to go along with it. She was the perfect mix of a country girl with good morals and a feisty temper. The only obstacle keeping me from her, devil's backbone. The main road in our little paradise. I don't think I really need to explain how it got that name. So in short, just imagine the devil's crooked, malevolent spine, and voila. Cars and trucks would tear, and I mean tear down that unforgiving road. The older kids, well, teens, would often race on it. There have been fatalities. Yes, there have been plenty of fatalities. So as you can imagine, my pops prohibited me from riding my dirt bike on it. Tara's mom and dad shared my pop's feelings on that, thus not allowing her to do the same. And yes, in case you were wondering, she had a crush on me too. I don't know what the hell she saw in me, but let me tell you, I was the luckiest kid in all of Columbus. The world, I remember thinking. The only way we could see each other than the occasional dinner visits from her family once a month, was venturing through that vast, dark forest that separated us. Tara and I made that journey quite often. About midway from my house to hers, there is a huge clearing, a meadow, if be. I'd say about an acre or more in size, give or take. That's usually where we would meet. Most of the time, she would beat me there. Oh, how I loved when she did that. I loved it because the moment I reached that clearing in the woods, I would see her perfect face, smiling, with her fiery red hair dancing in the breeze. She would often be sitting atop an old fallen tree, one that appeared to have not stood tall for the better part of 2 decades. Well, enough of the mushy stuff. It gets darker from here on. I finished my homework and rushed outside. I threw myself atop my old trusty four-wheeler and prepared to go see the girl of my dreams. My pops, however, had other plans for me. He needed my help, which spoiled my plans to spend the afternoon and evening with Tara. Great. Just fucking great. I remember thinking, I wouldn't dare say that to my pops. He'd backhand me into tomorrow, if you know what I mean. Anyway, by the time I made it to that trail, the sun was fast disappearing in the horizon. I couldn't turn back now. I mean, she was there, waiting on me. I knew she was, and I knew our time was going to be awfully short if I didn't act quickly. Sadly, the trail was too narrow for my four-wheeler, so as always, I would park it at the entrance and venture in by foot. Usually I would walk it, but on that day I exploded down that trail to make it to her before the sun disappeared. As I said in the beginning, foreboding. I don't know why the hell that forest scared me to death, especially at night, but it did. A lot of people were afraid of it. My pops, as you can imagine, would not allow me to go in there after sunset. He didn't have to fight hard on that. There was no way in hell you would ever catch me in there after dark. So, there I was running full speed by the time I reached that clearing. I doubled over in exhaustion, coughing up my insides in a desperate attempt to reclaim the air my lungs so desperately needed. As I fought to capture my breath, I could not help but to hear a low-pitched hum. It was deep, this mysterious hum. So deep, the trees shook from side to side, and the forest floor, it shuddered at my feet. Something wasn't right. I couldn't understand what was happening all around me. I could see the light from the setting sun trickling through the trees just to my right. So why in the hell was there a light directly in front of me? One that was so bright I had to shield my eyes with my hands. "Tara," I whispered. I darted through those few trees left before the clearing and stood still, frozen in utter terror. There, just before me, was Tara, suspended in a frozen-like state at least 10 feet in the air, engulfed in a brilliantly warm white light that appeared to sparkle and fizz, as if it was a beam made out of pop, Sprite to be exact. My gaze went higher as I followed that liquid-like beam of light to its source. I gasped in terror at this massive, unearthly ship that nearly blotted out the evening sky. I tried to run towards Tara, but I could barely move. I felt as if I was knee-deep in mud, but I wasn't. The ground was solid. It felt like someone's palm was firmly pressed against my chest, gently shoving me back, but no one was there. I reached deep, and I mean deep inside me, and screamed out Tara's name with such force it hurt. And at that precise moment, it appeared that beam of light exploded in all directions, knocking me to the ground and out cold. I woke up in the hospital. Other than one hell of a headache, I was fine, but very confused. I mean, I can understand my pops being there, worried and all, but why the police? Detectives, they looked like. What happened back in that ominous forest? And where's Tara? My answer came soon enough when one of the officers, after my dad hugged me tightly, asked, "Son, where were you all this time? And where is Tara Grady?" I told him that I was just in the woods for a moment, going to see Tara. He asked when did I leave the woods. I told him, after I thought about it for a second, that I didn't know. My memory was foggy. It was the truth, even though he didn't believe me. I told him my best guess would be about an hour or so ago. That cop hunched over my bed with a confused expression and said, "Son, you've been missing for 2 weeks. You were discovered by farmers lying atop a bale of hay 100 miles from your home. How did you get there, son? Who took you? Did you run away? Did you convince Tara to run away with you? Did your father do this to you, son?" The questions continued to rain down like the heaviest of downpours. I couldn't utter a damn word. I laid my head back on the pillow and drifted off to a dark and disturbing place deep within my own mind. It took years to find my way back to a stable reality. They investigated my pops, but eventually all charges were dropped. They sent me for mental evaluations on a weekly basis for nearly a year, but that too was dropped. To this day, Tara is still missing. Her folks long since died without ever knowing the truth about that day. I miss her something awful. I recently went under hypnosis to unlock those memories that appear to have been purposely hidden away deep in my head by a force other than my own doing. I never believed in hypnosis, but I do now. Oh, do I ever believe it now. I remember absolutely everything about that terrible night. I remember being taken by intelligent beings not of this world. I remember their experiments, the pain. I remember them discussing who would be returned and who would go back with them for breeding purposes. I remember. Taken by beings not of this world. Do you believe that? Or do you believe there is a more earthly explanation for Tara's disappearance? Could Michael have something to do with it? And his father, fearing that his only son would go to jail forever, helped cover it up? I'm on the fence on this one. I truly believe intelligent life other than mankind exists somewhere in that vast universe. Look at it this way. It is said that there are more stars and planets in the universe than grains of sand on every beach on Earth. That's 200 billion trillion stars and planets. 200 billion trillion. Let that number sink in for a moment. Because only then you will truly comprehend that it is not mathematically possible for mankind to be the only intelligent species. The real debate is, have they truly visited Earth or not? Thank you for tuning in to the Not So Ordinary channel. Please help me grow by subscribing and cracking that thumbs up button. Well, until next time, my spooky ones, stay safe and stay scared. I'm KB Knight.